Go Condition 1. Corporal Mudd here. I'd like to start this off by thanking God for the ideas for this story and this video. Battle of Dimensions, Part 1. Bad Vibes. 6 months ago today, I lost one of my best friends. I had a bad feeling then, and I have a bad feeling now. So who will we lose today because of our leadership's incompetence? I shook my head and continued to look out the Black Hawk's side at the rolling hills and mountains of southern China as we flew towards our destination. Usually we would have taken Marine aircraft, but we were being called in on high priority. I could only guess that the Black Hawks were the first available option in the area. Not that I was complaining, the Black Hawks definitely gave a much smoother ride than Ospreys. The word given to us was that we were headed for a Chinese research facility. The ground pounders that had found the facility had managed to stop one of the scientists before he could bite down on a suicide pill. They were even able to get a bit of information from him that this location was researching portals. When Hire found out about this, they decided they wanted this information checked out immediately. Hence, us getting picked up by Army Blackhawks. Even though the info sounds legit and makes a lot of sense from the big picture, this is reminiscent of the debacle 6 months ago. If this scientist was giving information that was even partially true, and we could implement the potential portals into our infrastructure, then the logistics of fighting a war across the Pacific would be drastically reduced. We had been slugging it out with the Chinese for about a year and a half. Progress had rolled to a stalemate, and we had only just recently pushed into Guiyang and as far north as Hangzhou. Any edge that we could get against the Chinese to hasten the war's end was severely needed. The body count was stacking up, and no one wanted to use nukes. We had our issues, but no one wanted to have a worldwide devastation. The helicopter bucked, and I looked back inside at my fellow Marines. There were 10, including myself, loaded out chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear scientists, or CBRN for short. Scientists might have been in the name, but we sure didn't wear lab coats. We carried the same loadout as the ground pounders: flak, Kevlar, M27 infantry automatic rifle, and any other gear necessary for the mission. The extra equipment we had today was night vision devices and 48-hour recording ballistic glasses. The standard recording glasses were only good for 12 hours, but because of our mission change, we were given the highest grade available. The glasses would record and store everything we saw and heard. I'm not sure how they managed to get that much storage in that small device, but rumor was we stole the technology from the Chinese and improved upon it. The glasses were as vital as we were in doing our job. If we missed something with our human eyes, the glasses would get everything. As CBRN scientists, we investigated research locations of interest. Our military occupational specialty, CBRN, used to teach Marines about their gas masks and how they would do their job in contaminated environments. The personnel teaching those classes was drastically reduced, and now they went from base to base teaching the necessary material. Now, most CBRN personnel ran closely behind the ground pounders. We were field scientists and researchers. At least that was the description the Marine Corps gave us. Still, we were little more than expendable cannon fodder, a simple safety net between the intel guys and the frontline ground pounders. We were the first hands-on group to a location. We would try to get the equipment working, get the information or whatever was of interest. That was the main reason for the glasses, so that someone else could repeat or have a chance to see what we saw. So if all went well, the intel guys, the actual scientists, and the lab gurus would then be able to play with whatever we picked up. If it backfired, blew up in our faces, or was booby-trapped, we would bite the bullet and the others did not. A solid trade-off for the Marine Corps, seeing that we actually no longer had an actual MOS and didn't have time for us to get trained to be proper intel. Most of the time, we were able to figure things out safely, but there were a few times that Marines got themselves killed or hurt. I had my own close calls. I had a scar on my right hand and forearm that I got from when I pressed the wrong button at the wrong time and destroyed a prototype the Chinese had been working on. Still haven't found out what the explosive project even was, or if it was simply a booby trap. For all my issues with the Marine Corps was actually rather intelligent. This glass's memory would usually survive any fatal scenario, minus complete disintegration. If the operating CBRN Marine died, they would be able to usually see what caused it and what went wrong. Another cool thing about the glasses is that we could delete the information stored on them if we were about to be or had been captured by the Chinese, so they wouldn't know what we actually got our hands on and what we knew. Mud. I looked over at my staff sergeant after I heard my nickname called. He was sitting directly across from me on the Black Hawk. My name is Malcolm Ulysses Duke, or Mud for short. I got the nickname when I hit the fleet, and my platoon figured out my initials. It honestly could have been a lot worse. For example, when I was in boot camp, one of my drill instructors was from Maryland, and my first and last initials are MD, so he called me Mary all the time. He had said that I didn't deserve the land part of Maryland, but even the nickname Mary wasn't the worst I had heard. Some nicknames were very explicit, so Mud or Mary actually wasn't that bad. Yes. You alright over there? Staff Sergeant Bear asked. Staff Sergeant Bear was an average, stocky, pale man with gray and black hair who could fill a room with his presence, but couldn't do much else. He was from somewhere rural in Pennsylvania. I never cared about interacting with him more than I had to after the incident. He protected his poorly trained puppet of a sergeant. Yeah, I'm just enjoying the ride. I thought to myself, I'm just so thrilled to have your puppet as my acting squad leader again. We saw how well that worked out last time. I swear, most people E5 and above must lose brain cells every time they get promoted. My normal sergeant, Sergeant Finley, who was my squad leader, was good. He picked a heck of a time to have a severe case of pneumonia. Now my squad and I had to deal with the puppet. Well, it sure as heck beats the heck out of Marine aircraft, Staff Sergeant Bear said, trying to continue a conversation that I was not interested in. I nodded back to him and looked back out the countryside. He wasn't wrong. Every time I had ever ridden in a Marine aircraft, I thought I was going to get internal bleeding from being jarred around. Flying in a Marine aircraft was like hitting every pothole on a backcountry road. This flight was like a comfy bed by comparison. I thought to myself, of all the people to still be awake, it just had to be Staff Sergeant and his puppet Roberts. It's a good thing I won't shoot anyone friendly, but if he ever becomes an enemy like he has in my dreams, I'd gladly take him out. Though, I would say that he would definitely be better for the war effort if he wasn't with our unit. Sergeant Roberts looked like what the Marines wanted all their personnel to look like. Well-kept hair, a muscular build, 6-foot frame that was extremely lean, nicely combed over black hair. He could tactfully babble his way through anything when he wasn't a condescending person. According to the Marines, he was a poster boy, but underneath that shiny shell, he was nothing but a snake and a blue falcon. He was someone who couldn't be trusted, and I hated him with every fiber of my being. He was also why one of my best friends died, and my beloved staff sergeant thought it would be brilliant to pull Roberts from 2nd Squad and have him fill in for Sergeant Finley, even though I was Finley's actual number 2. Only 2 words could fit the type of person that Roberts was, and that was infallible moron. I felt Lance Corporal Jenkins stir next to me, and he groggily asked, "Was someone talking to me?" No. Staff Sergeant was just stating how nice this flight was compared to our usual Marine Corps flights. Jenkins replied, "Oh, well, I do agree with that. This is a better ride than any Osprey ride I've ever had. I'm not concerned with the darn thing crashing." Jenkins, or LJ, his parents had a mad sense of humor and loved MMOs. LJ was a highly motivated short northerner with unkempt brown hair that you really couldn't see unless he took off his Kevlar. He had tan skin that if he took off his gear and his woodland frogs, it would reveal his terrible tan lines. Honestly though, we would all look like that, seeing that we were almost always in full kit. Jenkins was one of my fire team members, and I trusted him with my life. I had known him since Fort Lost in the Woods. He was in the graduating Seaburn class after mine, and he was one of my best friends. He was also with me on our last mission of major Seaburn importance, and the ensuing dumpster fire that became. I looked over at LJ and stared him down. "What?" he asked, shrugging. "What? We don't need you jinxing this helicopter and have it falling out of the sky," I said as I punched him hard in the shoulder. "Ow! Darn, that hurt," LJ protested as he grabbed his shoulder and looked at me. Good. Now don't make any more comments like that. We don't need this whole mission going south on us. All we want is a nice, easy, in and out job. Do you hear me? I thought to myself, crap, I just jinxed it, and there's no wood around to knock on. You don't still believe in superstitions, do you? He asked. As I have told you before, yes, I actually do. I 100% believe in Murphy's Law. If something can go wrong, it will. Don't worry. What's the worst that could happen, Corporal? He asked, smirking. A lot, and you and I both know that, I said as I stared him down. Now, can it, before you say something that could doom us? I thought to myself, I already had a bad feeling about today. I didn't need him jinxing it or making it any worse. The last time I had this bad of a feeling, I lost a great friend. I don't want to go through that again. Corporal, it's not like we're going to find a portal to Mars and have to fight demonic monsters. I rolled my eyes and looked back outside the helo to try and relax, till I heard Sergeant Roberts speak. Don't listen to that stuff. It's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo, Sergeant Roberts said. My temper flared. I took a deep breath and replied, trying to hide my anger. Maybe saying something won't jinx us. If anything happens, maybe it's just a coincidence. But I have seen situations where everything is going great, and then boom, one thing happens, or someone does something, or the lack of something, and everything just goes south in a hurry. Well, then if you don't want things to go south, Corporal, then you should work on your execution abilities, Roberts replied. I thought to myself, that's it, not holding back. You, of all people, do not have a right to talk about execution, or do you not remember your lack of execution which cost someone their life? Can it, both of you. Mud, remember who you're talking to. We aren't going to have a repeat of last time. Understood, Staff Sergeant said. I thought to myself, oh yeah, last time when all the recordings disappeared. If things repeat like last time, I am requesting mast, and I'm not having the recordings disappear a second time. Someone will be held accountable. That's enough, Duke. After we are done here, we are going to have a conversation. One that you're not going to like. Semper. My staff sergeant glared at me, but didn't say anything. I thought to myself, good. I didn't want to hear anything from you anyways. I took a deep breath, and I looked at the memorial bracelet on my left wrist. And I thought to myself, I could really use your cool and collected mindset right now. Jenkins grabbed my shoulder and gave me the okay sign. I simply nodded to him. Jenkins raised his right hand and I matched it with my left. Our matching memorial bracelets clinked together. Till we see her on the other side. Semper Simul, I said. And then I thought to myself, always together. Then I pulled my hand away and looked back at the countryside and fought back the tears. And I thought again, I miss you so much. As we continued to fly towards our destination, I thought back to that day exactly 6 months ago. Well, this is the end of part 1. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll be trying to get out part 2 as soon as possible. God bless you. Thank you. And this is Corporal Mud, out.